Morning traders and investors. My name is Roger Scott and I'm the senior strategist for Wealth Press. Today is Thursday. It's January 20th and the market's going to open up in about an hour and 40 minutes to be exact with you. And I like to be as exact as possible, as most of you watching these videos know me. Now, folks, please, if you have questions, concerns, if you want me to cover something, if you want me to respond to you, send me an email, support@marketgeeks.com. I don't bite. I promise I won't bite. Swear to God, support@marketgeeks.com. I'd really like to hear from you, and I always respond to my emails, and I usually do it within 24 hours. Now, let's get into this video. Now, as you guys could see, yesterday the market opened quite high and looked really promising and then tanked. That is not a very positive sign, especially when markets open higher and trend lower. And again, we're seeing the same type of pattern today. Now, I do believe we're close to the bottom. Yes, I'm actually willing to say it, but I have reasons to say it. I want to show you why. But before we get there, let's talk about the news. Let's talk about everything that's going on right now, and then I'll get into the technicals and I'll explain to you why I think the market is fairly close to pricing in higher rates. Now, in terms of economic data, we do have a lot of economic data yesterday. We had Redbook yesterday, housing starts, didn't really help the market. The market is being driven right now 90%, I would say, by earnings. No, that's not true. 70% by earnings, 20% by interest rate, and 10% by COVID. That's probably a good mix. So if earnings continue to become better than expected, I think there's a really good chance consumer stocks can overcome the burden of higher rates. That's what happened last quarter. There's always a battle between bonds, long bonds, and consumer stocks. And if interest rates do go higher, but if earnings can show that they can outperform higher, or more pressure on those stocks, because that's what's happening. Basically, it's like, imagine you have a runner and he has to run 100 yards, and you start putting weight bags on him. You put a 50-pound bag on him. You put a 100-pound bag on him. He's still going to run. He's just going to run slower. So that's kind of where we're at. We're seeing how much pressure we're putting on that runner before he goes for his 100-yard dash. I think that's a pretty good example, actually. So we've got jobless claims today. I'm not really concerned about this number. I am concerned about existing home sales because residential real estate stocks have been hammered the last few weeks. Philadelphia Manufacturing Index is important as well. These are the three reports today, and most of them come out before the opening bell. So we're going to get a good chance to see how these reports, except for the existing home sales, shape the market. Typically, existing home sales take a little dump around New Year's, but then they heat up again around summertime. But the numbers have been so good for so long, I don't think the numbers are going to be enough to really do much damage to this market based on what I'm seeing right now. There's a lot bigger fish to fry, if you will. Now, in terms of global markets, not much of a change. China, earnings, COVID, right? And I mean, really, that's been the news for what now? Global stocks were mixed Thursday after China cut interest rates. That's positive. President Biden said we're not there yet on lowering punitive tariffs on Chinese goods. I'm surprised, but Biden's been pretty tough on China, I got to say. Sleepy Joe, he's been pretty tough on them. Chinese central bank cut rates 1- and 5-year loans after growth in the world's second largest economy sank 4% over a year earlier in the last quarter following a crackdown on surging debt among real estate developers. You guys know about that property, Evergrande, and so forth. Biden said Wednesday it was uncertain when his administration could lift tariffs imposed by Trump on Chinese imports beginning 2018 in the fight over technology and trade. The two sides signed a preliminary deal in January 2019. And remember when they signed that deal, I said absolutely nothing's going to happen? Absolutely nothing happened. So hopefully we can resolve this issue, because so far it's just a bunch of talk. Apple shed 2%, Nvidia fell 3%, and these are top tier tech stocks. So if these two stocks fell, there's just no chance for tech, but I think we're getting closer. Tech has fallen 8% this year, and bonds have fallen 8% in about 10 to 8% in the last 6 weeks. There's a big correlation, but I think we are close to being done, at least for this swing. Investors have been wary since Fed officials said in mid-December plans to wind down bond purchases and other stimulus would be accelerated. Yeah, Mr. I'm not going to predict the future, Powell. Oh, wait till I predict the future every time, and I'm wrong every time. due to a spike in U.S. inflation to a 40-year high. It's crazy. Last Tuesday, investors were pricing in a better than 86% probability, that's based on the bond prices, that Feds will raise short-term rates as in March meeting, according to CME Group. That's up 47% from a month ago. But I think bonds are going to rally from this point on, and I'll show you why. And I think that may be a little changed. I think this may go from 86th percentile back to about 60th percentile. You'll see what I'm talking about. Investors are also watching the latest round of corporate earnings for indication that inflation might be cutting into profits. So far, it's mixed. Again, as I showed you, indices are higher, but let's see how they look an hour and a half from now. Now, here's what I was talking about T-bonds. I want to show you guys this. This is the high on T-bonds. We're at 155. 10% of 155. I'm roughing it. I'm not giving you specific exact numbers, so don't go pulling out your calculator, okay? Too early for all that. 10% of 155 is 15. Take 15 away from 155, what do you get? 140. I'm going to do it again. 155, 10% of 155 is 15. Take 15 away from 155, you get 140. 155, 140, 10%. Now, divergence here. See, in the old days, we would get stopped or we would get support around these areas. Now we get stopped out and then the market goes higher. That's algo trading, folks. That's the last 20 years. But we have momentum levels slightly higher and price action a lot lower, but momentum levels are holding that. And if you look at the Russell 2000, you will see very similar type of pattern. See, lower lows, momentum levels higher. Can't sustain that. So I think we may be overdone to the downside, especially, I want to show you guys this. I was looking at this last night. Look at the peak, right? 408. What's 10% of 408? 40, right? What's 40 minus 400 or 408? It's about 368, right? Or 360? About 8%, 10%? 10% in the bond market and about 8% in the NASDAQ. Highly correlated between bonds and prices on the NASDAQ 100. But again, here's the problem here, or not a problem. Here's the solution here. We're at the 200-day moving average. We're literally sitting at the 200-day moving average. And we are grossly oversold. Over here, when we went to oversold area, we bounced hard. We're now at the 200-day moving average, and typically we bounce off pretty hard off those levels. Also, the Dow Jones is at the 200-day moving average, and also RSI levels are low. And honestly, look at this, 370 to 350, right? That's 20 points. 20 points right here in the Dow. If you that's like 2,000 points if you're watching not the ETF but the main Dow. So from 370 to 350, that's huge in a short period of time. So I think the market is overdone. And if you look at the put to call ratio, let me just do the line chart here. It is at 91. This is showing 81. I don't know why it's showing 81, but it should be right here. And this is coming off oversold territory. So this is telling me the market is going to rally. We're nowhere near here. We're closer to 91. So to me, it looks like the market is coming off these levels. And this tells me when put buying gets way too high and market flips. And it looks like we're near there right now. So, and also, this is another indicator. This is the number of stocks in the NASDAQ 100 that are trading above the 50-day moving average. We hit 20th percentile yesterday. So let me just switch this over and show you how significant this is. Look, we don't go below these levels very often. We typically bounce off of these levels. This is a 3-year chart. Look, one time, doesn't even get there. 3 times, 4 times. This is COVID right here. Look at it on a 20-year chart. How many times do we get down to these levels? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and look how quick this was. 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times in the last, this is since 2008, 12 years. 8 times in the last 12 years we've been in these levels. So I think it's too much, too fast. And I think the market is going to rally from here on. Now let's look at the S&P real quick here. Let's look at it on a reasonable time period. Now, the S&P is between the 200-day and the 50-day. It's in the twilight zone, and it also appears to be oversold based on the 10-day RSI. And I'm going to tell you, folks, it's not easy for the RSI to come down to below 30 on the indices. It doesn't happen very often. Matter of fact, if you look at a daily chart, look at how infrequently this happens. Not very often. I mean, this is the big one right here. Right? This is the COVID crash. But aside, never, I mean, hardly ever comes down to these levels. Look, you can count on one hand. And that's a 2-year chart. 10-year, that's monthly. Let's go weekly, sorry. Just doesn't happen very often. So again, I think the market is grossly overdone. I think if we look at StockFetcher and we look at my major sectors right now, you will see that on a cumulative basis, technology and consumer discretionary is all the way down here. On a monthly basis, we're all the way down here, and I think it's just too much too fast. I think hammering 8% on consumer discretionary is way too much. I think the interest rates going up versus the long bond going up 10% in 6 weeks is too much. I think it's too much too fast. I think the market is overreacting at this time. But we got to stay defensive. And as you saw here, the number one sector is energy. On a cumulative, energy. On 1 month basis, it's energy. Let's go with the low-hanging fruit, USO fund, right? Remember, today's Thursday. I give you an ETF and an option pick. Don't forget. Look at it 5 years where it's going. It's just now breaking out. It's got a lot more to go. On a daily basis, it's looking really strong. We may see a pullback, but it's looking really good right now. And if we look at options, and I would go pretty far out on this one. If we look at options, I would go all the way to January, February, March, April. April looks good here. We got 84 days left. And I would be looking at probably right here, 62, 61, 62, right here in this area, right there. Right around $4, you can probably get it. And it'll probably cool off next few days because the market looks like it's a little stronger than it's been, which has a negative correlation to U.S. funds. But I like the 61, 62 strike price for April. April, folks. All right, before I let you go, I've got something really important for you. Folks, the Fed effect, it's in full force, and its impact on the S&P sectors could be a massive jolt for one ticker symbol. Today, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to rush this trade to everyone. 11 major S&P 500 sectors rotate in and out of favor depending on where we're at with the economic cycle, right? So I'm also going to give away my number one sector play for the first half of 2022, and it's not the energy sector. Don't think it's the energy sector. Click the link below. Learn more about the secret trading technique that's put me in the best position to succeed no matter what sectors are thriving or underperforming. This is a strategy that's been running for 12 years. It's very solid, and you guys are going to love it. And this session is all meat and potatoes trading. Trading. No monkey business. No monkey business. No Ferraris, no mansions, just meat and potatoes trading action on ETF 11. We're going to go deep dive into 11 sectors. You're going to talk about risk, reward, the best sectors, the worst sectors, how to hedge yourself, how to outsize the market by cutting out the meat out of the 11 sectors and only trading the best and the worst ones. You're going to love this. It's an hour of heavy-duty trading education, just like this type of analysis that I do for you guys in the morning. Follow the link below. Learn about the secret trading technique that's put me in the best position to succeed in 2022 and beyond. And as always, make sure you like this video. Subscribe to this channel if you're watching on YouTube. Stay ahead of this crazy market. Be the first to be notified when I post my next video. And remember, tomorrow, recap biggest winners, biggest losers, and what to expect the following week. You don't want to miss out. Follow the link that's below this video. Do it now and send me an email, support@marketgeeks.com. I want to hear from you. I hope 2022 is starting off on the right track for you. The markets will get better, I promise. Bye, guys.